Hello and welcome back to our sustainable journey. I am Steve. Today we are going to talk about what to feed your worms. All of our customers with the food scrap pickup program get a list of what's allowed and what's not allowed, right? So we'll go over what's allowed for our customers to give us. And we'll kind of talk a little bit about it. So plant matter, all plant matter. Basically, we tell them if it grows, it goes. So that would be, your stems and whatnot, your leaves from the tomatoes or your tops of strawberries, things like that you have extra of. Seeds and pits, so like your peach pits, your tomato seeds, things like that you clean out. Husks and shells, so coconut husks, shells of various, like peanut shells and things like that. Peels, mainly banana peels, if you're peeling apples, things like that. Bread and baked goods, those are fine. Coffee and paper coffee filters, those are also fine. Tea and paper tea bags without staples. So we try and make sure that people pull the staples from their tea bags. Some of them don't have them, some of them do. We end up using a magnet on the castings at the end to pull that stuff out anyway, but it's just easier if it's taken care of beforehand. Bones, those are fine, left over from cooking. Eggshells, of course, those are totally fine. Cooked and frozen food, totally fine. Flowers, but we tell them to take off the ribbons, any sort of ties or what have you that might be on there. And then paper products, paper towels, napkins, plates, stuff like that, right? And you saw last week where I put some paper cups into the bin, so we'll take a look today and see how those did. So those are all the yes items, and those are just fine for the worms. So onto the nose. So we've got human and pet waste, because gross, right? Plus there's things like E. coli, there's other infections that can pass through with pet and human waste, and the worms cannot eliminate that stuff. Hot composting possibly can, like E. coli, but the worms just don't get hot enough. I think to get rid of E. coli, it needs to be 160 degrees. Somebody's probably going to leave a comment telling me that they've done it in their worm bin and it's fine. I will not. That's not something I will ever do. We would hot compost that stuff. We actually have a worm bin going right now with cat waste that we're going to be testing at some point. It got buried in the back on one of our pastures, and we kind of forgot about it and left the worms to do their thing. So hopefully we'll check on that at some point. Fruit stickers. Pull off your fruit stickers. You see, if you've seen any of the sifting videos, you can see how many fruit stickers I'm pulling out of the sifter. Twist ties, rubber bands, the things that you usually get around your fresh produce, your like cilantro and things like that always have a twist tie or something in there. Meat or meat products, don't put meat in there. Dairy products, same thing. Houseplants that have been treated with neonicotinoids, so there's just certain chemicals that they put on those plants that we don't want. Plastics, obviously. Utensils, don't throw your utensils in. We tell people not to do that. It still happens all the time. You've again seen the sifting videos where I pull a spoon out, or the feeding videos where I'll find a spoon. It's always a spoon. There's spoons everywhere that people put in their bins. I think I have at least a half dozen spoons of other people's. Metals, right? So that basically your staples and your twist ties and stuff that we're trying to avoid. Tin foil wrapped around stuff, that kind of thing. More than 8 ounces of cooking oil. Cooking oil in small amounts with your food is fine, but when it's in, don't just pour it in there. That's not gonna go out well with the worms. Waxed and painted milk or food cartons. So like those waxy milk cartons, those don't break down. And liquids like milk or juice or whatever. There's already enough liquids produced. You don't need to add more. So that is our list of what can and cannot go into the worm bin. So those are what we tell our customers are the do's and the don'ts. Now, the internet loves to tell you what can and cannot go into a worm bin. And so I would like to prove the internet wrong today. So what I did was I picked up grapefruit, some oranges, a pineapple, a jalapeno pepper, a lemon, and garlic. So we are going to make a torture chamber for the worms to see if they will actually eat any of this stuff. So I'm going to take the bin that we set up last week. I'll show you that in a second. We'll cut a slice. I figure I'll do a slice of each of those items, and we'll see whether it kills them all or whether they do just fine. I think they're going to do just fine. But I've seen all of this stuff go into bins and it all works out fine. They will eat all of this stuff. So, but I want to show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is the bin from last week. So you can see, we already have stuff growing. There's something growing. Paper cup, still not broken down. Got worms on it, that's all right. We've got mold growing, which is always exciting. Mold is good. You can't tell people to give you mold, but it still comes in there. And you can see this is where all that rice was. So you'll notice there is no more rice. There's just mold that formed, and it is surrounded by worms. So you see all the worms went to the food, and that's okay. We have this cardboard tray. I'm gonna dump out. There's worms under it, but nothing in it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the rest of the worms from the tank that we've been using to supply this little experimental bin, just so that there's plenty to spread out when we fill this bin with all the other miscellaneous torture stuff. So I will add some worms, and then I'll start cutting up these food items. So I'm not really sure how many worms are left in here. Probably a few. Yeah, quite a few. All right. So I will put them over there. Put you right there. Oh yeah, there's plenty of worms still. Gotta keep the skull. Especially if this is gonna be a torture chamber for these poor worms. Let's see if I can lift this thing up here. There, that might be easier. I don't know, I just hope to not drop it. Quite a few stragglers still in there. Oh my goodness. All right. I'll come back for those later. Okay, so let's cut up some food. I'm gonna get a good slice. Should we do a big slice? Let's do a bigger slice. we go. So save this for the other animals. Nothing goes to waste. I'm just gonna put this whole thing in there probably, but start with cut a piece out of the middle. And tie this fruit bag. Okay. Okay, we'll get some lemon. All right, I think cut it like that. I don't know which side's hotter, the side with the seeds? We'll try that. Let me cut the stem off because that's not part of it. So we'll have that. Save that for the others. Let's see the oranges. Okay. All right, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna cut this wrong, I know. So, this is gonna be a giant slice. So, we have a grapefruit, lemon, garlic, jalapeno pepper, an orange, and a pineapple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel back a little bit here so we can bury them all. It's pretty soft still. This way the worms can escape if they want to. So we'll do pineapple and grapefruit in the middle. Scrape the area up over here. We'll do lemon, orange, jalapeno in the middle, and this little piece of garlic. We are never going to see it again. I can almost assure you that I will never be able to find that little piece of garlic. What I'm going to do is cover this back up. So that will prevent other things from getting into the bin. Let me just put that piece of cardboard back. Cover it a little bit. Okay, because the worms don't eat the food scraps. They eat the bacteria that eats the food scraps. Certain things they can consume if it's liquefied enough, but they're not really munching. You're not going to see them munching on a pineapple or taking a bite of an apple. It doesn't really work that way. So that's why you need to let that stuff rot a little bit. So we're probably not going to see a whole lot of activity in the next couple of days while that stuff breaks down and rots, because it's fresh. It's not rotting food, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see what the worms do with all this stuff, or what the bacteria does to all this stuff. See if we invite a whole bunch of other pests, because right now there aren't any in here. It's just the worms, I think. I don't see anything munching on any of this stuff, but we'll see if they come in and they find that stuff interesting or delicious or what have you, or I just killed all of my worms. One of the two. Don't trust the internet. They're probably not telling you the whole story, but this is considered a home bin with small amounts, obviously, you know, you're not going to put like the entire pineapple in a small bin like this. But I bet a small amount, like I just gave them, will work just fine for what we're doing. So stick around for next time, and we'll see what the worms do. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.